Muy buenas noches to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, Flaco, muchas gracias for allowing me to get on your platform. Stories written by current prisoners to share my stories in the hope that I could bring something positive to a negative situation. And to everyone, muchísimas gracias, for everything you guys extend my way. Words, wishes, prayers. I highly appreciate every one of you. Gracias. Okay, for the story I hand, I kind of want to touch on a comment, that has stuck with me. Really, how someone stated that usually the ones that always get removed are the ones that they're out there politicking against each other, and things hit the fan, and they have to check in, in some sense, I agree with this person, because there's a lot of hate, amongst camaradas when they feel they're under somebody's wing, It'll never work in their favor, unless they really have that avenue that's bringing in, mostly dope and feria, Then they could look past many things, But for this story, I want to get into a camarada, that to some sense he thought he could use his association with the Pili, to push his weight around mainly on his enemigos on the calles, and it backfired in the worst way, which was, he lost many things amongst his career, for for basically thinking what we all think when we're in the movement, that it's gonna be eternal, and carnalismo or favoritism is gonna always be there. We lose touch with what really is, it's a dog eat dog world, and at the end of the day, it don't last forever, and that should say it alone in how many sureños there is and how many vatos get made, right? But anyways, I want to talk a little bit about the camarada, Pájaro from Belinda Flats, SGV. He was a cool vato, as long as you didn't belong to a rival set on the streets, At this time, he was working for someone that on the streets he would so call, enemiga, which was T from Bassett. I believe he was also in touch with Richard from Bassett, and Richard was just someone that had a lot of pull, but he was a down to earth bato, he basically kept his head down and did things as he was supposed to, looking out for both sides, But the homie Pájaro, he was different, He had a lot of family on the calles, in all over La Puente, Walnut Creek, and so he had a lot of things coming in. But mainly he backed himself up with his Jaina, His Jaina was his direct channel to getting things to where they needed to get, mainly to the Pili, right? And the first time we were together, it happened to be in Tehachapi. We were there, and he was one of those that, for example, there was a couple camaradas from La Puente. I remember there was one from Azusa. There was other camaradas, from different neighborhoods in the SUV, and he always used that. He was a hothead. I'll just leave it like that. He was a hothead that felt he had that parachute, to push his weight around. And a lot of the times, me and him, to be sincere, we got along famous, even though we didn't see eye to eye with each other, but mainly because he was still stuck in his ways when he was on the calles. He still had those feelings, which is understandable. I can't really put myself in any homie or camarada from down south, because as you guys know, I'm not from down south. We don't fight with each other on the calles, and but I haven't been to the system since the peace treaty. But can imagine if I had to go in and they tell me I had to rub elbows, with my enemies on the calles and couldn't touch each other. I wouldn't know what angle I would have taken. So, but anyways, what wasn't right was that constantly, he would get in arguments and he would tell him straight up, hey, saca tu fierro, yo saco el mío, and let's go to town, let's rock. And he knew a lot of them would back up, not because they were scared to lace up and boot up, but they had they had some type of some type of well, you could say fear, when it came to what was going to happen next, because they knew homeboy's familia and everything. They were bringing in dope, they were passing things to where they needed to get, and anyways, homeboy, I remember we went out to court one time, and when we went out to court, he got given the blessings to put SUR on the back of his head, and he got it, and a lot of people felt when we came back to Tehachapi that he just got it because of the things he was doing, not because of or the things that his family or so forth were doing, not because of what he was doing. But the fact was that wherever he landed, he immediately politic against someone to take over the yard. He wasn't like that one de que ya llegué, aquí me pongo a disposición, or, what can I support, and this and that. Nah, he was the one that things ain't being run like this constantly. I don't want to belittle the homie, but basically you could say he would comadrear, and to the pili, so that eventually they will get fed up and be like, "Well, go ahead and have him step down, or if you don't want to, go ahead and ram through him." Which those were the exact words from a pili. If any of you remember when it was the llavero system. But getting back to, he used to push his weight around. Now I'm not saying he wouldn't buck up, because I seen him buck up a couple times. Where, but a lot of times it was over some BS. And I would tell him like, "Hey, fool, kick it," and be like, "Nah, hell no. This fool's on the streets, isn't that?" He had that. He was hurt, man, for a lot of reasons. Again, I couldn't really tell you how their neighborhoods function on the streets. I know it's a whole different ball game on the streets, than inside, and we're from two different corners of Cali. But throughout my whole term, I met a lot of good camaradas, from OC, SD, San Diego, IE, excuse me, and from all over the place, So I got a good feeling on how things are, and Homeboy just had that chip, He felt he could push on them, And anyways, I remember that when it came and bit him in the butt was that he actually had, Richard, you know, be riding back and forth. I remember Richard, I believe, went to Calipat And at this time, we had gotten transferred to Corcoran. We were in the shoe. We weren't validated yet. We were still, in the shoe, just doing shoe time. And the mediator was homeboys from Belinda's wife. And I couldn't to the dot tell you how how it works, and or what was said, but somehow, some way, Richard ended up pulling homeboy's wife. I mean, literally, cut homeboy off and or give him the largas and just started messing with her on that, lovey lovey stuff, and when it came back to Pajaro, homeboy was hurt, and when deception hit was that when he tried to press that issue on Richard T, the Billy, he eventually said, hey, Charles, Charles, stop speaking negative about homeboy, or which is something that should be frowned upon, But again, I don't apply, to this type of individuals. Favoritism's always there, and I believe homeboy should have been smarter than that. The whole time he was pushing his way, favoring his own and minimizing other camaradas just because they were in the shoe just for whatever, pulling a mission on the yard from a riot, whatever, but they weren't in the mix like that, so he felt he could always push that way, especially when it came to the ones in his area, and it didn't really matter how much we would tell him to chill, it wasn't the way, but he knew, at the end of the day, most of the ones that were always there seeing it, we were like the ones that we weren't gonna, be like, hey, so and so's over here, we really just went about our business, If it had something to do as a whole towards Raza, toward our movement, then we would speak up. Other than that, it was, you know, to be sincere, you know, as a Sureño, when you get in the mix like that, you know the rules and regulations to the dot. You know what you're allowed, what you're not allowed. And one of the things as a Sureño we're always allowed is to defend our pride. Period. You don't have to be plugged in. Someone disrespects you, right away you go to the one that has the llaves there, and look, this and that. I want to make this personal. You go tell homeboy, here's yours, here's mine. Let's boogie, and no buts or ifs. You're always entitled to that. But a lot of people, when they hear that they're on their pili, they tend to step away, to avoid problems. And but when this hit him, he came to realize real quick that it didn't matter what you put your family through, what you did for these individuals. They're always gonna favor their own. Homeboy took his wife. The Pili knew exactly who Pajaro's wife was, what she was doing, and what Homeboy Richard had done. If it would have been another Pili, just to politic against Terco, he would have moved on Richard. But the fact was that Richard and Terco were from the same neighborhood. They were about the same age, and Terco could really didn't really care what Homeboy had done for them. At the end of the day, like they say, you're one of the many. So you keep pressing the issue, you're gonna be removed. So, anyways, to fast forward a little bit, as we were we kept doing our thing. We eventually, we both got validated. You know, homeboy, he bucked up and acted like nothing was happening. But where his mistake was that he was always that one that he could press that boundary. So when we hit B yard, he started talking to other Billies, to sit here and tell you his exact words for them. I couldn't do that. But the fact was that he started speaking against the Billy, that he was favoritism, he was showing proof and this and that. And one of the other Billys had to be in goods with T, brought it to his attention. And the next thing you know, it became like, you know, you're speaking negative about a Billy, about a carnal. And as all Sureños know, if you're in presence of another Sureño that speaks ill about a Billy, you to take flight on sight. No buts or if not, then that's your juggler. So, when push came to shove, homeboy not only got his wife taken, a sister arrested for, being being one of the ones wiggling on the street, you know, not to mention, all the times he put his family through a lot of headaches, man, to please this person, just to maintain that power, because his thing wasn't about the causa, and I can sincerely say it. It was about power. And yes, he was a camarada, but he was a bully. He felt he could use his family to get in good here to push his weight around. And there's a lot of that, man. Not gonna sit here and tell you, que the camaradas, the sureños, son angelitos, and nah, there's a lot of politicking, a lot of wrong amongst the sureño car. But they don't compare to nothing. Then that day we go back to the same thing. If Sureños didn't have a pili to shield themselves with, they would never think they had that power over another Sureño, right? Or if they didn't have a pili behind them telling other camaradas, if you touch them, that's your ass. I want green light. You, your neighborhood, and we'll go in against a family member. You know, now I heard that it's beyond stupid and crazy, right? But back then it was, you best not hope you have a cousin that's a man, a brother that's a man game banging, because I'll go after them, you know. And you can't go against a politician, right? Can't politic against somebody that's above you, to say it like that, you're gonna lose, which was the case. Homeboy got whacked, you know. Not gonna say he held his ground a lot, because it didn't take very long for him to check in and go to the other side, and but the reason why I'm telling this story is, for those youngsters that are out there doing their thing and thinking, I'm earning points, I could do this, and I could feel like Superman when it comes to the causa, to the movement. Nah, you gotta always remember, dope, money, and favoritism's always gonna be the number three things that are always gonna dictate this vatos programa. You know, I know a lot of stories where Billy stuck up for camaradas, but at the end of the day, it didn't go good for the Billy or for the camarada. It is why it's best for a Billy just follow suit too, and stay good. Most of the time, there's so much on dope that in reality, they don't even face them. At the end of the day, they'll put someone else in your place. I got lucky for that reason. That I learned that to do things and keep my looks on. Stay humble and just keep pushing. But again, this is for those that are thinking out there. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, man. Go back to history, to what's out there. You know what I mean? Tell me where are all them vatos that were on the Yaco fighting for him on the calles, where they ended up once he checked in. Perico, where they at. All not to get into every Billy's name that had taken down. We're not talking about 4 or 5 camaradas, but a lot. So my advice again, dispensa. I keep sounding like a broken record, but I won't be here for very long on YouTube. So till then, my message is that stay smart, be wise, don't take for granted what's really out there. Which is your family and the people that really care for you, man. Now that I'm going through all this, there's a lot of camaradas that when we run the wiggle, we tend to see them as straight up, as weak, because they're smart, man. They try to stay afloat, So we look at them like we don't do anything with fear. When you do things like that, you're weak. When in reality, it's not true. They're actually the strongest one because it's easier to be a dummy, than to be someone smart and maintain your ground. But I started to share this story, after homeboy, you know, him himself, I believe, you know, he took a lot of camaradas down too, for stupid reasons. He would politic against them for just the fact that they were from different sets, even though we're supposed to be sureños, and it's what youngster has to go through. Just because you're in the system, you're gonna run across an enemigo that has that little bit of more jugo than you, or next thing, or he's being favored by an uncle or whatever, and don't matter what you busted for. I seen some straight killers. They go from yard to yard handling business, and when one cent is missing, when somebody that they like more complains about him, he's gonna get whacked and removed. That is the program inside. So, stay smart. Love those that are righteous with you, which is familia, and those that are like familia. Pero muchas gracias. I hope that I'm more clear and I sounded better. I extend my love. Please stay true to yourself, loyal to your loved ones, and again, be the one that people can say he made it, not the one that they can say like, damn, there goes another out of many. Buenas noches, descansen.